Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss what's the value of 6 trig function for angle theta when angle theta is falls between 180 degree to 270 degree. Okay, in radians pi to 3 pi by 2. So let's draw a unit circle. So let's just do it. Here we go. Okay. In here, we know this is 0 degree, this is 90 degree, this is 180, this is 270, right? And this is 360. We know this is first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, and this is our fourth quadrant. So here the angles falls between here. Angle theta is between 180 to 270. Here, if you notice, since it's xy plane, right? Here x is negative, y is also negative. This means our cosine function is negative here, since in this unit circle x represent cosine function, y represents sine function, right? So also sine is negative here too. So what does it tell? So that's mean tan function, this is negative, this is negative. So that's mean tan will be positive here. Okay. Now, so since we know here cosine function is negative, sine function is negative, tan function is just positive, right? With the same sign. Let's look at our unit circle. Fully developed unit circle. Let's do this one. Let's make it bigger. Here we go. Here we go. Now I want you guys take a look at this. You see here the first quadrant, and we're talking about this one, the third quadrant, right? Here you see x values is exactly x values, y values is exactly y values. If we start, just they have the different sign, but the x values and y values are exactly same. X values and y values exactly same. That's mean here in third quadrant, if you have sine 180, it doesn't matter, any trig function, they don't change, function doesn't change. Let's say theta, so it's gonna be sine theta. That's mean it's gonna be negative sine theta since it's third quadrant, but the point is the function doesn't change. Remember in when you have in second quadrant, function always change. You see the x values here, x values is changed to y values. You see the x values here is the x value in the y value, and the y value x values in here second quadrant is gonna be y value in first quadrant. So that's mean when you write it down sine, let's say 90 degree, let's just erase this one part so that it's much more clear. Okay, remember that when you have sine 90 degree plus theta, sine function always changed here, since sine here sine actually in here first quadrant is cosine, so it's gonna be cosine theta. Remember that? But this is for the second quadrant, right? But third quadrant, we don't have to change the function. So sine will be sine function, cosine will be cosine function. Let's do some practice. Here, I wrote it down here, x is negative, y is negative, and this is third quadrant for this, right? So look, what I was telling you guys. So sine 180 degree, we don't, here when you write it down, we don't have to change the function. So it's going to be exactly sine theta. But since it's the third quadrant, x value, y value is negative, so that's mean we have to change the sign. Instead of positive, it's going to be negative. For cosine, it's going to be same thing. So cosine theta. But here we don't have to change the function. So that's why I wrote it down exactly same way. For 10, here 10 gonna be positive. You know why? Because sine is positive, cosine is positive. The two negative ratio gives you positive, right? Cosecant is just another sine function, so it's gonna be -2. Secant is just another cosine function, so it's gonna be -2. But cotangent is so here is 10 again, so we have to write down 10 theta. But I meant to write it down cotangent theta, right? Cotangent 180 degree is gonna be cotangent just theta. Since cotangent is also the function of 10, it's gonna be exactly 10 functions, right? It's gonna be positive. Now I want you guys to change this. Instead of 180, in terms of radians, I want to change it to pi. I want you guys to change it to pi and practice with that. It's going to be exactly same formula. Okay, now let's do some practice. So look, here we have sine 210 degree, right? So let's do it. So sine 210 degree is going to be, first we write it down, sine 180 plus 30 degree, right? Since 210 degree, 180 plus 30, 210. So sine, you see sine 180, we don't have to change the function, we just have to change their sign. So it's going to be negative sine 30 degree. Now what is negative sine 30 degree? Is, you just put it in sine 30 degree, it's just half. You just write down half. Okay, now cosine, here we write it down, cosine 225. So instead of writing down 225, we can just write down 180 plus 45 degree, right? So cosine 180, since it's in third quadrant, we have to change the sign. It's just cosine 45 degree. Now what is cosine 45 degree value? It's just square root, you have to put negative, square root 2 over 2, right? For 10 to 25, so in the 10 function, it's just going to be 10 to 25 is 180 plus 45 degree. Now here we don't have to change the sign, since 10 is the ratio between sine function and cosine function, so we don't change here sign. So you just write down 10 45 degree. What is 10 45 degree? It's just 1. Okay, let's do with cosecant. Cosecant will be just cosecant 180 plus 30 degree. So it's going to be negative cosecant 30 degree, right? So that's mean it's going to be -2. Cosecant 30 degrees value is 2. Okay, secant 240 degree. So you write it down, secant 180 plus 60 degree. Secant 180, so it's going to be again negative since it's the third quadrant. So secant is just going to be secant 60 degree. Okay, now what is secant 60 degree? Is just 2, right? So I just put -2. Now cotangent 225 degree. So that's means cotangent 180 plus 45 degree. So cotangent is going to be cotangent 45 degree. You know why it's cot for 45 degree? Because we don't change sign here, since cotangent is the ratio between cos by sine, right? So it's going to be cos divided by sine, so negative divided by negative is positive. Cotangent 45 degree is just 1. So I want you guys to change it, instead of 180 degree, I want you guys to change it to pi and practice. For here too, I want to change you guys to pi and practice by yourself. It's the same thing. Instead of degree, I want you guys to practice pi. radians. That will help you guys. Now let's talk about 270 to 360. If the angles falls between 270 to 360, or 3 pi by 2, between 3 pi by 2 and 2 pi, it is in quadrant 4. Okay, if you draw the circle, you will see that it's gonna be fourth quadrant. Okay, so this is gonna be fourth quadrant, since it's gonna be 270 by 360, right? So it's the fourth quadrant. Fourth quadrant, what happened? Since it's a x and y, here x value is positive. So x value is positive, y value is negative. That means the ratio between y divided by x is gonna be negative divided by positive is gonna be negative. So that's mean we know the x is cosine function, y is sine function. So y is sine function. That's mean your tan function between y divided by x, sine divided by x, is gonna be negative. Okay, sine function is negative, cosine function is positive, right? So tan function will be negative here. In fourth quadrant, tan function is negative. This is the fourth quadrant, tan function is negative. Now I want to show you again the unit circle again. Let's just have the unit circle here. Let's make it bigger. Okay, so here we go. So do you guys notice in fourth quadrant here, the x value is the y value actually in from the first quadrant. This is first, right? This is fourth. In fourth quadrant, x values is y value. What does it mean? That's mean we have to change the function. You see the y value is the x value. You see all of them. If you see that, look, here both of them are same, so it doesn't matter. Here the x values exactly the y values here. So y value is exactly x values. What does it mean? It means that here from first quadrant is just yx. That's mean we have to change the function. So in fourth quadrant, when we write it down, that we have to change the function. So that's mean if we have sine, let's say 270 plus, let's say 30 degree, anything like that, we have to change the function. Instead of sine, we have to write it down cosine, because we have to change from between x and y, y and x. So it's going to be the cosine 30 degree. And if you have to change the sine, whatever the sine you have to change. So let's look at the formulas. That will help you more. So the sine function here, sine 270, you see that sine 270 here. So here sine 270, that's mean we have to change the function. So instead of sine, write it down, we have to write it down cosine theta, right? But here is the catch. In fourth quadrant, sine is always negative, so you have to put negative sign. Okay, now again for cosine, since you have a cosine function, you have to change this function into sine function. Sine just theta, right? Now just theta. Now here cosine function is positive here, so you don't have to change the sign. For tan function, again we need to change the function first, so we change the function into cot function, right? But since in the fourth quadrant, we have to write down negative sign because tan function is negative. For cosecant, so now it's going to be the same. Here cosecant is just going to be secant theta, but obviously you have to change the sign. And for secant, it's going to be just cosecant theta, but you don't have to change the sign. But cotangent is going to be just tan function, tan theta, but you have to change the sign. Okay, so I want you guys to change 270 to 3 pi by 2, make it radians, and practice. It's going to be same. This will give you the same formula. Let's practice exercise now. So sine 300. What is sine 300? So whenever we see sine 300, it falls between 270 to 360, right? So we can just write it down. Sine 270 plus 30. Now, what is sine? Whenever we see sine 270 degree, remember that we change the function sine into cosine function. So we have to change the cosine function now. Cosine function into 30 degree. But also, since sine is negative here, y is negative. This means sine is negative. We have to put negative sign. And cosine 30 is equal to 3 over 2. Now, let's do cos 330, right? What is cos 330? We have to change this function first. So let's do sine 270 plus 60. So if we do 270 plus 60, that's mean, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I was supposed to write it down. Cos, okay? Cos 270 60. Now, since we have cos 270, we have to change the function. So you have to write down sine and 60 degree, right? Whatever is theta. Now here, cosine is positive, so we don't have to change the sign. What is sine 60 degree? Sine 60 degree is just square root of 3 by 2. Now, let's work with 10 315. So 10 315, we can just write down 10 270 plus 45. So 10 270, right? So we have to change the function. So we write it on cot 45. Now, since it's in fourth quadrant, we have to change the sign. Now, what do we get? Cot 45 degree is just 1. So again, I want you guys to change it 270 to 3 pi by 2 and work on it, okay? So here we have cosecant 300. Same thing is like more like sine function. Cosecant is 270 plus 30. Okay, now what is cosecant 270? We have to change this to secant function, right? We have to change it plus 30 and 30 degree. Now we have to change the sign since cosecant is also negative in fourth quadrant, okay? In fourth quadrant, cosecant is also negative. Now, what is cosecant 30 degree? Now, it's going to be just square root of 3. Now, let's do the secant 45 degree, 315 degree. We just write it down secant 270 plus 45 degree. So 270, right? Secant 270 is going to be cosecant 45 degree. But we don't have to change the sign since it's positive in fourth quadrant. Cosecant is positive. So cosecant 45 degree is just going to be square root of 2. Now we have cotangent 315. So we write it down cotangent. Then 270 plus 45, same as that one, right? So we have to change the function first into 10 function, 1045. But we have to change the sign. What is 1045? It's just 1. So again, I want you guys to change it to 270 to 3 pi by 2 in terms of radians and practice all of them, okay? Now, let's see what happened when theta is more than 360 degree. What's going to happen? So let's say you have 510, 510 degree, right? What does it mean? It means that it's more than 360, right? So whenever we see more than 360 degree, what we can do and we can change first. Instead of writing down, we can just subtract 360 all the time, and we can just do that math and we'll get the right answer. So 360, we can subtract 360. Sorry, let's just subtract 360 from here. What do you get? 150. So in that situation, you just do 150. That's all. You just find out the values of 150. So that will be your answer. Okay. So you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the whole big numbers. All you have to do is just subtract that number. Let's practice. Let's say if you have sine 390 degree. So whenever we see that, we always subtract the 360 degrees. So theta 360 degree. It's more than, if it's more than theta is more than 360 degree, then we always do that and we find out the answer. So let's say theta, our theta here is what? Our theta is 390 degree, right? 390 degree. And so negative, we do 360 degree. 360 degree. 360 degree. So what we get? 30 degree. So if we can find out here, so instead of sine 390 degree, now we're gonna find out sine 30 degree. It's gonna be sine 30 degree is half. So this is gonna be our answer. Okay, this is gonna be exactly our answer. So let's just practice another one. Let's say we have cosine, okay, 420. Now they ask you to find out this answer. So cosine 420, let's just do it. Write it down. Cosine 420 minus 360. So it's going to be cosine 420 minus 360 is just 60 degree, right? What is cosine 60 degree? Cosine 60 degree is just half. So that's your answer. Okay. So I want you guys to change it to 2 pi, right? So, and practice this one. Okay. So that way you guys can have right answers. That's all, guys. I hope you guys understand this one, and I also want you guys to practice in the home. And if you guys enjoy my video, please like and subscribe. That will help me and help you guys whenever I put new videos.